It's time for the news on QTV. The Food Reserve Agency (FRA) has been urged to consider extending the mopping up process of maize grains to the remote parts of the country. And United Party for National Development (UPND) President Hakainde Hichilema has challenged the ruling Patriotic Front (PF) party to stop using the police to abuse citizens. Now the news in detail. The Food Reserve Agency (FRA) has been urged to consider extending the mopping up process of maize grains to the remote part of the country where the private sector cannot reach, in view of the fact that they are likely not to meet their target of maize purchase this year. With less than 3 weeks before the 2017-2018 maize marketing season closes, the Food Reserve Agency (FRA) has so far procured 166,251 metric tons of maize of the targeted amount of 500 metric tons of maize. Civil Society for Poverty Reduction Executive Director Patrick Nshindano says FRA must take an aggressive approach towards mopping up the maize by reaching out to the remote parts of the country where small-scale farmers might still hold onto their produce due to lack of market. Mr. Nshindano feels by so doing the FRA will be enhancing food security. Recently, Minister of Agriculture Michael Katambo told Parliament that the Food Reserve Agency (FRA) may not meet its maize purchasing target of 500,000 metric tons of maize for strategic reserves.
But this in the long run will also promote mass production, and you start seeing prices also coming down, because when there's mass production, obviously the forces of demand and supply will come into play, and this will lead into reduction into price. Now what you have is a situation where stocks are not very good in terms of productivity, because farmers were not happy with the last FRA pricing, and most of them did not go into maize production, and this was made worse by even the weather conditions. And now the stocks are few, and FRA is struggling to be able to mop up this crop. What they need to do now, given that we have not been able to meet the target, is ensure that they go out, especially in the remotest parts of the country where the private sector is not able to reach, and mop up this the remaining seed. And this is where even the much need is needed with regards to supporting the farmers, because those that are along the line of rail are able to offload this. But you find that when you go in the far areas of this country, you find that a lot of crop is still going to waste as a result of not having access to markets. So FRA needs to take an aggressive approach in going to remote parts and mop up the crop, and at least try and meet the national food security target.
The Opposition United Party for National Development (UPND) President Hakainde Hichilema has challenged the ruling Patriotic Front (PF) party to stop using the police to intimidate citizens. Mr. Hichilema's comments come in the wake of the recent arrest of a pastor and Center for Trade Policy Development (CTPD) officials who had gathered in Dola to discuss the budget, debt crisis, and corruption in the country. Mr. Hichilema has told QTV News in a statement that the arrest of a pastor and CTPD officials advocating for transparency and accountability is a clear indication of the PF's continued oppression and dictatorship. The European leader further notes that due to their injustice and unprecedented data crisis, the PF has shown that it will even start following citizens in their homes and arrest them for expressing themselves over things going wrong in the country. On Friday, police in Dola disrupted a meeting organized by CTPD to discuss the 2019 national budget, among other issues, and arrest and detained the organizers and a pastor. They have since been released on police bond and will appear in court on Friday, 26th October 2018, charged with unlawful assembly. Patriots for Economic Progress (PEP) has charged that the Auditor General's report on the accounts of the Republic of Zambia for the financial year ended 31st December 2017 is falsified in order to paint a positive picture about the performance of the Patriotic Front and its government in terms of accountability of public resources. Party leader Sean Tembo says that the report has worsened by the fact that the Financial Intelligence Center FISC Trends Report for 2017, which was released a few months ago, clearly showed a significant increase in waste of public resources as determined by various indicators, including but not limited to misappropriation of public funds. He has told QTV News that the contradiction between the findings of the Financial Intelligence Center, FISC, and those of the Auditor General relating to the same financial period of the Republic of Zambia caused his party to investigate this matter further. Mr. Tembo is of the view that the PF and its government will now soon be targeting the Financial Intelligence Center, FISC, in order to undermine it and put a compromise management team.
As Patriots for Economic Progress, we have received and reviewed the Auditor General's report for the financial year ended 31st of December 2017 on the accounts of the Republic of Zambia. And our immediate reaction to this report is that it shows a strange, sudden improvement of about 85% across the board of various parameters of accountability, such as misapplication of funds, unvouched expenditure and delivered materials, which to a large extent is a contradiction of the Financial Intelligence Center Trends Report, which was released a few months ago, which shows a contrary picture. And this taken in the context of the fact that the Auditor General recently resigned a few months ago under very unexplained circumstances, basically compels us to make a conclusion that this Auditor General's report is possibly falsified to present a positive picture that government is improving in terms of accountability, which is regrettable really, because for all intents and purposes, we know that the current government is not accountable in terms of the manner in which they utilize public resources. Thank you.
The Foundation for Democratic Process, FODEP, has called on government to come up with modalities and policies to break the cycle of an unequal distribution of wealth, which has left a good chunk of the population living under the shackles of poverty without direct access to the means of production. FODEP Executive Director Mwenge Chimfwembe has advised government to ensure that Zambia's wealth is shared equally. Mr. Chimfwembe has observed that it is evident today that a small portion of Zambians are benefiting from the country's resources at the expense of the majority Zambians. Speaking in an interview with QTV News, Mr. Chimfwembe has bemoaned that the distribution of resources have continued to concentrate along the line of rail, while areas away from this remain poor. Meanwhile, the FODEP Executive Director has commended government for coming up with investment expos, which he has described as a first to opening up opportunities to everyone.
Well, I think evidence is there. If you look at the Gini coefficient index, basically you will realize that Zambia is among the unequal countries. So the situation is that you have a small portion of people who are actually enjoying the wealth of this nation, and the vast majority of the people who do not have. So the have-nots are many. So in this case, what we are saying is that there is need for government to actually review the policy in terms of investment and look at how investment, is applied in the government. Particularly for us, our interest is to see to it that government creates the infrastructure upon which wealth can be created, upon which FDIs can be directed.
Former Senanga Member of Parliament William Harrington has challenged the Vice President in Ongewina to explain why most of the developmental projects embarked on by government in Western Province have remained stagnant many years after being commissioned. Ms. Harrington has told QTV News in an interview that people from the province feel cheated by government which promised them development prior to the 2016 general elections. He cited projects such as the construction of the township roads in Senanga constituency and the construction of a stadium in Mongo district as some of the broken promises government made to the people because nothing has been done. Mr. Harrington has also charged that the province, also known as the Barotseland, is not receiving an equal share of the development projects. Meanwhile, Mr. Harrington says that the toll fees are being collected on this stretch should be plowed back in developing the road and other needy areas in the province.
It is of concern that development in that part of the country called Barotseland, which was nicknamed Western Province by Dr. Kaunda in 1968, is not receiving its fair share of development. There are many cases of underdevelopment and broken promises in Barotseland. For example, the Mongo Stadium today remains a heap of gravel since the time that the late President Michael Sata commissioned that project. All there is a foundation stone and a heap of gravel. Nothing has happened and no one talks about it to date. In Senanga too, I'm sorry to say that since Vice President Inonge Wina came to, amongst other things, launch the Senanga Township Road project, since that time nothing has happened for over 2.5 years now. That's a very sad development. We the people of Senanga feel cheated. It is of.
Moving on from Western Province, we get to the story regarding the Republican president, where President Edgar Lungu has been urged to direct the Minister of Land, Jean Kapata, to institute an investigation into alleged illegal land allocation in some parts of the country. Evangelical Youth Alliance International Executive Director Reverend Moses Lungu says he's aware that some people are using the name of the president to distribute land illegally to unsuspected foreigners, a development which he says is putting the name of the Republican president into disrepute. He has also raised concerns with the rate at which the Ministry of Land is allocating land to the foreigners in the country at the expense of the local Zambians. Reverend Lungu has told Q News in an interview that while the foreigners are acquiring land with no difficulties, it has not been easy for the locals to secure land from the ministry.
We are calling for the president to instruct that investigations be made so that such culprits that are executing injustice in his name should be restrained, must be stopped. We are praying that during this tenure of his office, may the president make the people of Zambia happier. May the president make the burdens our people are carrying lighter. We have hardworking Zambians who really have nowhere else to go but Zambia. And the president must just come in. There is too much lawlessness in Ndola over the Mishishi land. Again, Ministry of Lands, together with the Ndola Council, are up in arm to grab land from an innocent occupant of that land. It's not just in Ndola. It's like everywhere else. We are taken aback as to what is happening at the Ministry of Lands, what is happening with our hardworking Minister of Lands, Honorable Jean Kapata. I think may the lines be opened so that people are able to complain.
The Cleaners Association of Zambia has advised the government to be more receptive to council than paying a blind eye. Association Secretary General Lawrence Makumbi says that the country is facing numerous economic problems and government cannot afford this time around to implement its activities without the input of stakeholders. Mr. Makumbi has also reminded the advisors to government that some of the advice that they are giving the government, especially President Edgar Lungu, is what is making them unpopular in the public domain. He says the purchasing of the luxurious jet by government is not a priority when ordinary Zambians are still wallowing in abject poverty. Mr. Makumbi says regardless of any justification that government has cited, the purchasing of an expensive jet is not a need but a want. He says government should consider channeling its resources to areas that have a direct positive impact on the lives of Zambians so as to foster development in the country without leaving anyone behind.
Whether the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Defense can explain whatever he has been explaining, it is not correct to make a want become a need. Right now, the country needs a lot of money and resources to go into education, to go into health care. We've seen in the northwestern and western provinces, schools have got no desks. Honestly, how can you advise the president to go and get a jet and you want to justify that? It is a shame upon those people that are trying to justify the procurement of these luxurious jets. They are not urgent for what we have today. We have more urgent issues in terms of food, agriculture. Those are the sectors in which we need to have these finances directed to direct them onto a jet. Why don't we get the examples of the president of Tanzania, who is currently going to the UN on a commercial airline? Then we are making the mistake of buying these jets. It is uncalled for. You are calling for the president's downfall on such matters. Why do you advise the president wrongly? As a nation, we need to come together and call a spade a spade. President Edgar Lungu, this is a wrong move. There is still room to cancel these contracts, and if we can, please let's cancel and divert these scarce resources into sectors that the people will benefit from. Whether
we get to educational news where the Teaching Council of Zambia, TCZ, has urged the government and the private sector to desist from employing teachers with fake or forged qualifications ahead of teacher recruitment. TCZ Registrar Dr. Ebi Mubanga has told Q News that any employer who is going to employ a teacher with fake qualifications commits a prosecutable offense and that the council will not take it lightly. He says that it is unfair for someone with fake results to get a job at the expense of teachers with qualified documents. Dr. Mubanga has re-emphasized that TCZ will not register any teacher with fake qualifications. He has also called on various stakeholders, including the media, to help sensitize the general public against such ills so that the education sector can develop.
Last year when we started teacher registration, we came across those applicants for registration who did not have the right qualifications. And for us, for such, we will not register them. And because we have not registered them, we don't expect them to be anywhere near the classroom. Any employer who is going to employ a teacher with fake qualifications commits a prosecutable offense. So we don't expect whether government or the private sector to employ any teacher who presented forged qualifications. So we are disallowing it and we shall not promote it actually. Of course, it's very unfair for somebody who never went to school to get a job at the expense of somebody with genuine qualifications which look humble. So as a regulator, we shall not allow anyone who is ill-qualified or underqualified to be a teacher, because they are not teachers, they are just cheaters. And we want to protect the interests of learners from such people. So for us, we are consistent and we shall remain so. But we also need the involvement of other stakeholders, including the media. You are also key because you help us to spread this message so that we sensitize society against such ills. We also sensitize teachers against such ills so that we just, I think, move on as a nation.
The Zambia National Union of Teachers, ZANUT, has urged teachers to embrace quality while offering education services and that they should cherish their jobs and commit themselves to hard work. ZANUT General Secretary Newman Abubala has told Q News that teachers should act as role models by being disciplined and to offer quality education to students despite their challenges. He adds that teachers should know that no one else can reward them apart from themselves by focusing on providing quality education and hard work. Zambia's High Commissioner to India, Judith Gadbijimpanga, has called on students from Africa not to be agents of scandalizing the continent. presenting a lecture on governance to African students at Galgoshes University in Greater Noida, India. Mrs. Kabijimpanga has stressed that Zambia is working hard to promote good governance. Mrs. Kabijimpanga says students should strive to make the change they want to see. According to a statement made available to QTV News by First Secretary, Press and Tourism at the Zambian Mission in New Delhi, India, Bangwe Navili, Mrs. Kabichimpanga says young people should not wait for political leadership positions to make a difference in the promotion of good governance. Mrs. Kabichimpanga has, however, urged students to understand challenges affecting governance. The High Commissioner says calamities or events that come with climate change are affecting governance, as governments have to divert resources to address such immediate challenges. She further says the youth should be made aware that the new disruptive technologies are posing a challenge to the much-needed good governance. Mrs. Gabichimpanga also says that transportation networks can also be a hindrance to good governance, especially bad road networks, as these result in inefficiencies. She further says that global issues such as the increase in fuel prices affect governance, as governments have to change their budgets in order to cushion deficits and unplanned expenditures.
We are also politically diverse. In Southern Africa, we have made progress. We have moved. Africa has moved. If the Prime Minister of India, such a big economy, can recognize Africa has got the resources, let's go and partner with them. Is it really fair for you African students here in India to say Africa is not doing well when somebody else has recognized that there's something?
And Galgoshes University Chief Executive Officer Drav Galgoshes has thanked Mrs. Kabijimpanga for the inspiration to young students aspiring for leadership. We get to business news, where a request to connect Kapatu Mission, Chibelushi and Shibwalia Kapela areas in Lunte constituency to the national grid has been submitted to the Rural Electrification Authority, REA Chief Executive Officer Engineer Geoffrey Musonda. Speaking to Q News, a Patriotic Front Lunte Member of Parliament Mototwe Kafaya says others have already been electrified and is hoping that REA will respond promptly to the request. Mr. Kafaya is confident that connecting his constituency to the national grid will spur economic development in the area. He has since appealed to young entrepreneurs to start positioning themselves so that they can be the beneficiaries from the rural electrification programs in the area.
Young entrepreneurs, those that are happy to do business, they should know that all manner of employment, is actually created by business. So it's very important for the young people in Zambia to begin to seize opportunities as they arise, because when you seize these opportunities, you don't just benefit as you benefit the nation, in the sense that when your business grows, you'll be able to employ 1 or 2 people or more, and this is actually taking away from the burden of unemployment. So it's clearly important that these opportunities that we see, I was just talking about the possibilities of REA powering, Shibwalia Kapira and ZESCO powering Mupakaoma. When all of those economic activities are happening throughout the entire process, there are opportunities, business opportunities, job opportunities, and I'm calling upon the young people to open their eyes and be able to to detect these opportunities and seize them. Once they build capital, they'll be able to be strong entrepreneurs who are going to offer a lot of solutions in the business environment of our country. We need our young people to begin to participate in economic opportunity.
Intercontinental Hotel Lusaka General Manager Bruce Potter has noted that the cost of doing business in Zambia is going through economic factors and competition, but those doing business should concentrate on the positive things. Mr. Potter has also observed that the economy can only grow if people are directing their thinking about positive discussions in the country. Mr. Potter says there is need to start looking for opportunities rather than concentrating on challenges. He says there is need to take advantage and maximize every opportunity that presents itself.
The cost of doing business in Zambia is down to economic factors, down to competition, whether there's a monopoly because there isn't enough competition. So at the end of the day, business is business. Now, money also turns the world, and every government in Africa needs to ensure that we're getting the best product, the best produce. And I think for me, the economy can only grow if we are directing our thinking about positive discussion on the country, and we start looking at the opportunities that are in the country. And I came from a different part of Africa to here, but this is my first landlocked African country where you have 5 borders. So we should take advantage of those borders rather than see it as we're locked in somewhere. And we have to bounce off the economies of other countries. So when there's depression, there's always a bounce back.
The Rotary Club of Lusaka President David Mwanza has donated 10 garbage bins to Rotary Clubs of University of Zambia, Metro and Maluba in an effort to prevent the outbreak of diseases. Mr. Mwanza says the gesture is to ensure proper disposal of waste, thereby making the environment more conducive and habitable. Speaking at the occasion, Mr. Mwanza says the club saw the need to donate garbage bins to be put in strategic places for public usage. He says that beneficiaries should ensure the bins are not stolen or used for other purposes other than for what they are intended for. Mr. Mwanza has explained that donation is part of the club's initiative to keep communities clean under Rotary's water and sanitation area of focus.
As you well know, one of our focus areas is to prevent disease. And the only way we can do that is to ensure that the rubbish is well disposed of. And this is one way of us realizing that goal by providing you with the bins that we are donating this morning. Please take care of these and put them in strategic positions so that they are put to good use. Please don't worry about the numbers of these bins. They may appear to be small, but take into consideration the effort that went in organizing these materials. So I do hope that you find these bins useful and you put them in areas where the presence of our clubs can be observed and appreciated. As you well know,
and speaking when he received the donation, Rotary Club of Unza President Sydney Maufam has thanked the Rotary Club of Lusaka for their donation and noted that the bins will be used for their rightful purposes.
As a club, we will try and also ensure that these bins go a long way in helping combat this issue of trying to deal with garbage. Already there are various projects which are going on in campus to handle this issue of how we can deal with the dirty. We can't go so far, just right on our side is an example of what is going on. Unza has also joined the mission of cleaning Lusaka as well. So we will ensure that these bins work to the best of their use. And like we said, and it has been said, they'll be put in strategic places so that the entire university benefits from these bins which have been given to us today.
Meanwhile, past Rotary Club District Governor Ravi Devalia says that the donation of this waste bin is to help the community and the younger generation stay healthy with a clean environment.
Even in the Bible it says cleanliness is next to godliness. So if we are clean, then it sorts out many problems we have in society. Problem of disease like cholera, dysentery, and many other diseases that we have. And this is just, as President David said, a very symbolic gesture that we are coming up with. This idea was mooted together with a tree planting exercise we had 6 months ago at Chilenje. And this cooperation between the clubs, like here we have 3 clubs, Rotary clubs, which are cooperating. Metro, Maluba, and Lusaka Club, is the beginning of a teamwork that we hope to do with the 7 clubs we have in Lusaka. And we hope that the next time we come, we'll even have the mayor, who has just become a member of the Rotary Club of Metro, to be part of the occasion.
And finally, in our news, losing Lusaka mayoral candidate Reverend Alfred Banda has encouraged Lusaka Mayor Miles Sampa and the Lusaka City Council management to devise creative strategies aimed at raising funds to run the council. Recently, Lusaka Mayor Miles Sampa disclosed that the council is experiencing challenges in providing quality service delivery to all parts of the capital city due to lack of finances. But Reverend Banda says the Lusaka City Council should adopt initiatives such as the Tax Increment Finance TIF, which can help accelerate development and redevelopment in the city. Reverend Banda adds that countries such as the United States of America and Canada have used the TIF, and that the accelerated development that these countries have achieved is there to see for everyone.
Leaders have to be creative. We need to come up with creative solutions. For instance, when I was running as mayor, I was thinking of, exploring the way of TIF, tax increment financing. This will accelerate development and redevelopment in the city. There are countries which have used TIF and they've accelerated developments. You know, countries like the United States of America, Canada, they've used TIF to accelerate development. Through TIF, we can improve our roads, our bridges, you know, we can improve our parking slots in town, the drainage system. We can come up with a lot of things. We can redevelop our townships. Through TIF, we can do a lot of things. Leaders.
That's all we have for you in our news. Thank you for your time. It's bye-bye.